Throughout the third part of Greg Ulmer's Miami Virtue, the agent in this consultancy effectively discovers the punctum of crossroads and makes meaning of the different aspects that make this personal journey so significant. For electricity, which is the digital apparatus, finding the mood of a situation is critically important. The goal is finding that which serves as a punctum for each agent. This is an inherently subjective process, so different people will of course capture different moods. After noting that the bed is the repeating signifier in the images taken during this consultancy, Ulmer begins to discuss the different concepts that beds represent, such as the notion that the bed is where life is revealed to knowledge, and the various positions associated with being prostrate. The image of the mattress was not something that was intentionally communicated. Rather, it had such a personal meaning to the agent that it clearly struck her chords throughout the course of conducting the historical research and showed itself to be the signifier. Wherever they looked, there was a mattress. The mattresses in the image crossroads are three, according to the discussion of Plato in the Republic. The real bed is created by God. The actual bed is created by the copy made from this form by a craftsman, and the image is the work of art or mimesis. The third kind, the mimetic copy, is, according to this kind of logic, the farthest from the, quote, real, end quote, bed. According to Ulmer's idea of the virtual city, the fantasy bed, as it relates to the digital apparatus, is the one which should be considered, in this historical sense, primary. In speaking of the metaphysics and objectivity of an object, Ulmer articulates the what as a consideration of substance within the literary apparatus, but the that is a manner of accidents that occurs within the electrate apparatus. The goal of the consultation is looking at the mattress to look for the sublime dimension in these public policy problems. In this case, the Caribbean Code. The data that is collected in examining the problem is treated as a parable in its mapping so that it can be entered through a feeling of recognition. Overall, one of the major functions of the testimonial is to represent the experience of the sublime. The sublime has to be made a force which pierces the viewer with an ethical obligation because of the disaster it portrays. In electrate metaphysics, the accident is essential. The act of recognition causes attunement, wherein the consultant takes ownership for the external scene that reveals in a flash reason, that she has been there before. This uncanny, this punctum, allows the agent to recognize the scene, the signifier in the situation of aporia. Ulmer articulates that the poetic method, or the tuning, relies on such an experience. He further argues that the sublime experience must be modified to accommodate each traumatic experience. The signifier is not the thing felt, rather it is merely a representation of that feeling. Ulmer argues that in this post-alphabetic time of recording, any sound and any sight may be stored and retrieved. This, he argues, makes them available for writing. Ultimately, the testimony that is presented can take on any kind of style, given the potential that technology allows. Ulmer explains that the point of intervention for the Emer Agency is to compose an alternative myth, or at least to propose the possibility of such a composition. With this, then we discover how to view the intervention as it is and how to form a new one. How to solve the aporia, as it were. Within choreography, mythologies are invented. In dealing with the aporia of any given situation, ultimately it is the mythology around the thing, the culture, that must be changed. This will subjectively allow us new ways to view seemingly impossible problems. Electricity celebrates diverse methods of construction. Regarding photography, electricity makes possible a different category system, a different metaphysics than the abstract conceptual categories that were limited to in the literate apparatus. This allows each user to experience things in their own way. and to appreciate the different representational media in such a way as to make a lasting testimonial which can have a striking impact and a major role in inventing the very concept of electricity. Ultimately, to create this mastery, each agent is asked to find the punctum within a given zone. This should begin to reveal the signifier, the object that repeats itself throughout the study. This can't be sought after. It reveals itself. After these are revealed, the analysis of the subject can take place. When conducting my historical analysis, it is important to keep in mind that the research project, in this case, which is inherently subjective, working in this way can enhance the personal experience of the agent conducting the research. It can be a cathartic experience. Also, hopefully, the personal edge that so many historical research styles have can have any number of different impacts on the audience. As a researcher, you should expect that you cannot control what kind of findings that you may find using this method, and that makes it very unpredictable. But in conclusion, Miami Virtue is somewhat difficult to dive into. But, if you're interested in studies of digital literacy, this should prove to be, at the very least, thought-provoking after you stumble through learning some very specific vocabulary terms.